Road Atlanta marks a return to the United States for the first time in February as the Velocity Online Racing IR-18 series heads back to Georgia for what is race number 6 on the 2024 calendar. Michelin Raceway Road Altanta plays host to a 50-lap feature tonight, and we're getting set in qualifying right now with 7 minutes remaining on the timing charts. Expecting faster laps than ever seen before in this series, as drivers are already taking times before our main race gets going. Welcoming you all back to FTN on this Saturday. Only going to be one broadcast tonight, and it's going to be all road course racing for the next 50 laps here in Road Atlanta. I'm David Kreutz, producing and commentating alongside Gary Godso, and right now, with drivers already taking times, the action has only just begun. Bruno Miranda finds himself at the top of the board with a 104.703, which is already the currently record time in a qualifying session at Road Atlanta in this series. Of course, times are still not permanent and official. We could see some drivers go even quicker, but already we are seeing provisional qualifying times unlike anything we've witnessed before. Miranda at the line is still going to be your pole sitter by 0.2 of a second and finds himself the quickest at this rapid circuit here in Atlanta. Gary, as we get things going for the first time tonight, of course, qualifying on the move, we're already seeing drivers rev up and put the best times they can as we're getting set for a race that's going to have high speeds and a lot of strategy packed into only 50 laps.
I got Georgia on my mind today, and Julian with 5:50 left to play here, up to the top with a 104.521 provisionally on the pole. IndyCars don't come here in real life, but this track does pair well with this formula pretty good. Fast, long straights, some twisty sections, some passing areas at a bottom of a very bottom straightaway in a hill that open up into a passing area going into a chicane, ups and downs and throughs and you name blind turns. And this track is really, and again, I'm not much of a road course guy, but this track is really a lot of fun. When you got it, it just starts to develop a flow. Kind of at some points through the S's when you're coming downhill, kind of makes you feel like you're a downhill skier a little bit, and you're kind of sloshing in between the poles, so to speak. But we're going to have a good one here. For now, just under 5 to play. Miranda goes back to the pole with a 1:04.246. Now, real world records around here. They're actually setting real world records. The fastest car in terms of an official session is an LMP1 with a time of 107.056. That was Christian Klein in the 2008 Petit Le Mans race. The unofficial track record, and the IndyCar still have a little bit to go to get to that one, is one of the Ferrari test drivers brought the venerable 2003 Ferrari F1 car here that Michael Schumacher used to drive, among others, and put up a 1:01.2 here. So IndyCars are about a second and a half off that one. But in the neighborhood, and it's going to be fun. We're going to see compound changes. We're going to see more than one pit stop, maybe some strategy play out. Should be a good one. We have a decent size car field. And with this way that the track is they're really designed, we shouldn't really run into a lot of lap traffic. But we'll see. This is a great track. We're going to have fun. Stick around.
And already drivers getting set up with their fastest laps in the final minutes of this session. You look at Pedro Bibel there. He's going to be second on the board now, about a 10.5 off of Miranda, and he's only got 3 laps into this point. Every driver right now running on alternates. Mandatory compound swap tonight, much like what we saw at Zandvoort 2 weeks prior. The road course racing, multiple compounds are at play, and the push to pass is back. 10 uses only are going to be allowed for each and every one of these drivers, so that's going to be another variable you got to keep in mind as this race goes on. The qualifying record coming into tonight was a 104.978 held by Julian Altana previously in last season. The race lap record was a 105.871. I'm expecting both of those to get broken, seeing we're on pace for the first record to get nearly demolished by a full second. Projected course, pit strategy. That's something we got to keep in mind. And about 18-lap stint is what we've been given as a prediction. So we're going to see most likely a two-stop strategy for every driver tonight, and they're going in and out of pit road to get themselves ready to get back on the track time and time again. You want to wait until the final moments if you want to really throw down that fast lap, get the tires warm, get a little less fuel, and maybe you'll be light enough to put down a few extra hundredths of a second. That could make all the difference right now, but Miranda leads the timing sheets by over a tenth.
Yeah, let's ride along with somebody here and see what we got going on. Pick a driver. Let me know who we want to ride around with.
And we got Bruno Miranda to ride around with. He's back on the
Bruno
track
Miranda.
right now,
All
going
right.
to maybe beat his pole time. We'll find out.
So where he is on the track right now is he's heading down the long straight into one of the few passing zones here. This is a chicane. It is 10A, 10B. And then all of a sudden, you're going uphill. The back end of the car is going to get real white right about here. There's your pit road entrance off to the right. Sweeping right-hander can pretty much take it flat out. Start-finish line right there. Maximizes the entire racetrack. There's this little pit road right there, or a little access road. You get the left wheels on that, and then you go up the hill. And right here, the entry to what would be turn 2, blind. You don't see it coming. You just got to know it's there. Now the kind of the slalom portion. I was talking about the skiing there. And you come into pretty fast corner number 5. A lot of runoff area. And then this track is a little bit shaped like a bent guitar ribeye steak, right? This is the bone portion right here. Kind of a double apex turn area. And then the long blasting straightaway down here. We got right underneath some aviation warning balls there for the lines. Down the long straight, down the hill where we picked up the lap, into the chicane, high braking zone, and he'll watch him switch it back really quick, just flicking the wrists. Top of the hill, really light right here. Downhill, car likes to settle there. Car squats. Car used to get damaged there, in the left front wing used to get damaged there quite a bit. There was a kind of a landmine in the track, and Indy cars would kind of automatically get damaged there. There you see Bruno going through the top portion of the hill, just blindly. You just got to have faith it's there. You got to have faith the car's going to stick. Down the slalom area, back in the 5, a lot of runoff area there. They'll use it all. And then back down into the guitar neck, or the bone of the ribeye, so to speak. It's a fun track. Lot of opportunities to have fun racing here. A couple of opportunities to pass, and we're getting ready to go racing. And Miranda might just nail down this pole with a 104.2.
And it looks like Miranda does. A lot of expertise in these short qualifying sessions. It looks like Miranda to the top of the board yet again, and he finds himself the quickest by 45 one-thousandths of a second. Bruno Miranda to grab the pole position here in Road Atlanta, but it looks like there's a few more drivers on the track with 1 minute and 15 left. Can anyone take that time and go over? It looks like for the time being, nobody close enough. Julian Altana gonna park it. Pedro Bibel is on the way, but it looks like really no realistic threat for the time being.
Orsi still on the road, I think. See if we get him. There he goes. And then, did he improve? I don't think he did, but got a couple cars trying to finish out Jordan Hale. Bibel actually on the track going 48 seconds. He'll get to the start-finish line in 48 seconds here. Down the hill into the braking zone for the chicane, 10A, 10B. Then 11, top of the hill. And then a little bit of a straight, then 12. Here's 12. 12's the last corner. And he's slowing down before getting there. He probably realized he didn't have the delta to get there, so he's going to go ahead and call it quits. I think we're going to go racing here now.
Looks like everyone's done with their qualifying runs. The final driver to make a jump was Jordan Hale. We remember that it was his first race at Zandvoort 2 weeks ago. He got it done for a top 10 finish there. He'll be starting in 8th tonight, it looks like. With qualifying over, we've got ourselves a full starting grid. So without further ado, just moments away from getting this race started, how's about we take a look at your lineup for the Road Atlanta Grand Prix. Qualifying is concluded, and Bruno Miranda is at the top of the board with a 104 104.246, the new VOR qualifying record at this track. He's going to be able to take that record by just over 0.7 of a second. Takes it from the previous record holder of Julian Altana, and it'll be Julian starting in second with a 104.291. Pedro Bibel is going to be third, and it'll be Cedric Holmboom in the fourth position with a 104.756. Patrick Zovazzi will round out the top five with a 104.873, and Alric Vandenbos with a sixth place start to 104.958. Any of the top 6 times would have been good for pole position last season. Keep that in mind. That's how quick these drivers have gotten. Nearly 0.7 of a second improvement for the pole sitter, and 6th place this season would have been top last season. Craig Forsyth's going to be in 7th with Jordan Hale, then in 8th. Sebastian Kinder will be in the 9th spot, and it'll be Matthias Strauss rounding out the top 10 with a 105.253 there to conclude the top 10.
All right, rounding out the remainder of the field, Hunter Smith, 11th. Finian DeCuna there with 12. I guess I'm going to nickname him the Big DeCuna. Let's see. Let's move on. John Christensen, 13th. Lovern, 14th. Hugo Gallas with that Backfire Motorsports entry, 15th. Dan in 16th. And Jonathan Diggs, 17th. 17 car fields. That's going to round out. They are going to do a full pace lap here, so we'll have plenty of time to set this up. Give you a good view of the race course one more time before they get up to speed. But I think we're going to be in for a good one today. Definitely 2 stops, and you can play a little strategy. So, looking at the strategy, I'm going to reorder my top my overlay here and give you an idea of what we got for tires. So, Bruno on reds, Julian on primes, Pedro Cedric on reds, Silvazzi on a prime, Vandenbosch on a red, Forsyth on a prime, Hale on a red. Seb Kinder and Strauss are on primes. So that's what your top 10 look like, and it's a completely mixed strategy among the top 10. So it's going to be interesting. These cars with these black, the prime tires are going to want to make hay now. They got to make these passes early on these cars that are on the softer alternate tires. The softer alternate tire cars, they're going to want to put as much space between themselves and the rest of the field because they got to build up that delta. So when they do make that stop, and they're going to make at least 2 of them, that they can pop out and not have a lot of positions lost. So it's going to be interesting. I like the different strategies that we see going on right now at the front of the field. Remember, push to pass. They got 10 pushes of the button. They got this really long straight between turn 7 and turn 10A that they can do the push to pass there. This is going to be fun. Sit back and watch. We got about a half a lap to maybe 3/4 of a lap to go still before we get to the start-finish line and go green.
And we're watching the field go by right now, taking a look as they're going to cross right by our drone camera. We saw that difference in elevation. That's something we talked about before the race got going. This track profile, you've got a huge difference in terms of the highs and lows of this circuit, and it helps with preserving that momentum. If you look around this circuit, and we mentioned the shape of it, Road Atlanta, very much all about the flow and the speed that you can continue to build up. We'll see that long straighter right now highlighted in the center of your screen, but it's all about the sweeping curves, the back and forth, those lefts and rights. You got to understand how to take them correctly here, and it's not a lot of room overall, a road course again, so there's very minimal room for error and a lot of high-speed sections here. So not as technical as previous circuits on the schedule. You got to make sure you understand how to keep that speed because we're definitely going to see drivers going over 170 miles an hour, especially down the long straight. It's going to be all about that management each and every lap. Miranda at the top of the board, going to be starting on reds. Julian Altana, you're going to see on the primaries right beside him. The front row's got a different strategy, and that's going to come in play all night long. Expecting a 2-stop strategy, differences in tire compound from the beginning of this race to the end, and it'll be Miranda in control as the green flag waves in Road Atlanta. On the way from Georgia, Miranda gets the lead. Rest of the field going to be trailing back with Pedro Bibel jumping immediately into second.
Oh, we got a car off at the top of the hill. Looks like Seb Alexander. He's back underway. First 5
a
through.
jumble there.
Yeah, first 5 are through 5.
And letting these drivers get on the way. Looks like most drivers get out without any trouble. Dan Ench is now going to be about 10 seconds back of your leader. Already big spread to kick this one off, but looks like the front runners get away nicely. Bruno Miranda to take the lead over Pedro Bibel. They're side by side further back. You're going to see Cedric Holmboom getting very close here to Julian Altana, and this is the fight for third already.
He's on push to pass, couldn't outbreak him. Now when you're on push to pass, everything happens a little bit more faster than normal, so sometimes you do miss your braking zone, but he's on side by side. He's going to have the position coming through 12 and gets the position. Julian did not want that, but there will be a trade-off point at some point when those guys on the alternate tires are going to come back to the guys on the prime tire. So Julian's just going to try to stick with them, maybe get him on a mistake.
And we got big trouble back of the field. Gallus, Lovern, Hale, they're destroyed. And we got our first big incident here at a road course this season. We got to take a look back here. You can see shredded the front end. I think multiple drivers are heading down to pit road right now.
Yeah, Gallus and Hale are on pit road right now. Gary Lovern is still going, and he's missing a right front wing. So he's a one-wing angel right now. He's going to want to stop and get that replaced. Might as well top off the tanks and throw on a new set of tires at this point. So he's going to be on a different strategy. Strategy now is to just survive.
Coming down the front straightaway, Gallus, Lovern, and Jordan Hale made contact. It was a side-by-side battle out of the exit of the final turn, which gave way to three drivers getting involved. Two on pit road already. As we send it back to your live feed, here's Bruno Miranda still leading, and at 0.4 of a second back to Pedro Bibel. Then Cedric Holmboom, who's going to be in third, taking it from Julian, as we mentioned. An early pass, and only now four drivers have used the push to pass once at all, and you have to look back to Finian DeCuna for the next driver who took it once, and then Sebastian Kinder and Jonathan Diggs both using it once apiece, 12th and 13th respectively. So most drivers laying off of the push to pass right now. Patrick Zilvazzi going to be 5th, and Craig Forsyth is going to be 6th. Overall, the field is spread out big time already. Gary Lovern is about 36 seconds back and now on pit road. Then Dan Ench, who's 14th, is 21 seconds back, and only in the first 2.5 laps.
Yeah, you got to settle in. Just limit the mistakes early on. Get yourself into a gap. Start hitting your marks. Get yourself into a rhythm. Heart rates are always high at the starts of these races. Just one ding can put you in the wall and really end your day early. Everyone just kind of wants to survive the first couple laps, get these temperatures up, or tires up to temp. Temperature-wise, 67 degrees ambient, 7 degrees track temperature, 70 degrees track temperature. Oh, Bibel at the top of the hill off, so he's going to lose some ground to Miranda as the Brazilian Storm manages to come through that portion really mistake-free and capitalizing, putting down more distance between himself and Bibel. 2.1 seconds is now that gap.
A close call there for Bibel, but he was charging beforehand, so this is going to be a huge, huge moment early in the race. Pedro Bibel fades back about 1.5 seconds compared to where he was previously. In his own world right now when it comes to being in second, though, so no jeopardy being caught in this battle between Cedric, Julian, and maybe a bit of Patrick Zilvazzi as well.
This is a good battle right here, yeah.
Julian getting good close.
So, yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, but so I think Cedric should be faster based upon having those tires. However, I think really if Julian could get around him, Julian might pull away. And he's on the harder of the two compounds.
Now, Julian seems to be one of the better drivers at this circuit, especially. The previous qualifying record came through as last season's winner. Now we're riding on board with the number 11 once again. The sunlight beaming down on these drivers. We were told it's going to be a sunset race. It might end just before the sun fully sets. So keep an eye out for the daylight here, because we're going to be losing it as the race goes on, and that's going to be a big deal. I don't think we're going to end up pitch black, but it's going to become a bit more challenging for these drivers as the race goes on. Maybe a bit more grip, less warmth on the track, but it's going to be sunset tonight, the condition today.
Well, if they should go into the twilight, they do have portions of the track that are lit, and we're coming up to one right now, and we'll take a look at it here for watching this battle with Julian. Coming down the hill into that chicane, they'll have a portable generator with light stands there that will shine on that corner. And we had a race on Race First with a Formula Indy series that ran here, and One thing led to another, unfortunately. And I think when the race was created, the session was created, they didn't realize they were on an accelerated time clock, and the race actually ended under dark in IndyCar. Now, IndyCars don't have lights, so they got that tail light on them, and that doesn't indicate braking. It just comes on during caution periods or any full-course yellows. So any light that was able to be used were performed by those portable light stands that you see in some of the corners. There's one right there on the exit of 5, going down a little straight into 6. So it'll be interesting to see if accelerated time frame here gets us into the hours where we actually see those lights come on and play a factor.
Now, even if that were to be the case, it's a pretty fair temperature overall. Partly cloudy skies at about 67 Fahrenheit, and the track temp is 72. So the sunlight not making much of a difference to conditions. I don't think that's going to be a huge deal.
Oh, Julian cutting the grass through turn 9. There's a little kink on that backstretch, and he just forces the issue on Cedric. Cedric's like, okay, go right ahead. I think Cedric actually probably a little surprised, lost momentum, because I think Salvazzi's going to get him now through 12. And so put 2 guys with the prime tire up into the order now. That's what they want. That's what they want to see. That's what they want to do. They want to, because after a while, these alternate tires are not going to be nearly as effective. Julian almost in the grass there at the top of the hill. Again, that's a blind corner. It's really tough to see. If we do any other in-car shots up there, you can clearly see it, but you just got to know it's there. It's kind of almost like turn, I guess it would be 6 at Road America. Uphill, under a bridge. You've got to kind of know it's there. You can't see the apex. Same thing here. Up the hill, blind turn, got to know the apex there. Trust the pavement, trust the car.
Already lap machines in the way of Bruno Miranda. He's going to get right by 1. That was Gary Lovern, who still got that damage from the previous incident. Doesn't look to be anything major cosmetically. We saw how he got caught up in it, and he's continued to lose more and more pace as the race has gone on. 1 lap down right now. Only 1 retiree in Jordan Hale, and Hugo Gala still going to be on pit road. Pedro Bibel's coming up right now on the another VOR driver. They both got the same paint scheme but different colors, and Julian Altana now has a train of about 5 following, and you'll see Alaric Vandenbos in the 72, then Craig Forsyth, then Holmblum and Patrick Zovazzi making up this entire battle here. Forsyth getting closer to Cedric now.
So I told you I thought Julian would pull away, and I think he is slowly pulling away. I think Cedric, no fault of his own. Everyone has a pace they want to subscribe to. If he has a pace they want to subscribe to for fuel and tire conservation, just run your pace. You run your race. Sometimes you don't have to pass a single car in a race, and you can get a good result just by, if you have a good strategy, you run your race, hit your marks, do everything that you prescribe yourself to. You could perform a good race. So I'm not worried about Holblum falling back. I just figured that he was holding up Julian, and I was right. Julian is kind of pulling away. So is Salvazzi. I do want to talk about the point situation. Forsyth is still your points leader, but right now Miranda's moved to P2 in the point standings. He's only 18 points back. So Miranda wants to capitalize on a good weekend here. And while Forsyth looks like he might be on his way, it's still early. I don't want to jinx him anything to a top 10 finish here. Right now, Miranda is cutting into that lead just by virtue of kind of running away at this thing, and Craig kind of stuck back in the middle portion of the top 10.
Now we're taking a look at that point standing battle, as you mentioned here, on the viewer's screen, and it's been very close all throughout the season, at least so far. I think it's going to continue to develop here with these road courses particularly, and Bruno Miranda looking very good, as you mentioned. It's a major opportunity for he and Julian Altana to perhaps jump up and leapfrog Craig Forsyth, who's been the dominant man to this point. In terms of the team battle, it's Altana Autosport with the advantage over Team 40 Racewear, and I think 40 Racewear really carried hard because they've got 1 driver represent them entirely, and that is Craig Forsyth, 184 points. He makes up all of them coming into tonight's race, and he is still within the battle for the team championship despite being the one-man show at the top of the board. Right now, he just got by Cedric Holmblum. That's going to be for 5th, and he's on his way to maybe chase down Patrick Zovazzi just a few tenths of a second ahead.
Craig fresh off a win, not much more than. Oh, Craig actually in the grass going to give Holmblum a run on him here. Pull him off. And we're going through the S's, sorry. Holmblum recovered, he did. Got close there, but Craig fresh off a victory in the iRacing IndyCar Series Open series this year. I say series twice. They call it the IndyCar Series Open, and it's just weird to kind of end it just by saying that. I want to say the IndyCar Open Series makes more sense, but iRacing has weird names of naming, weird ways of naming this stuff. But he's fresh off a win just no more than an hour or so ago, 2 hours ago at Nashville. Julian fresh off a podium from that race as well. So those two guys practice already today, and like I said, we talked about this before. The more rep time you get on behind these cars, and it doesn't matter if it's on an oval or a road course, the better you are. And so they already got 115 laps under them at a very tricky Nashville Superspeedway in these cars. And then they're here back down to Road Altanta on the road course, and are capitalizing kind of on that positive momentum they established about just in their last race.
And right now they're running 3rd and 5th respectively. Looks like Julian Alton are going to be running the better of those two. And Patrick Zavazzi staying close as Fane Dacuna's got trouble and just spun around in the Sim TV number 94. Dacuna does not make contact with anyone else. Luckily keeps going here, and now Sebastian Kinder is going to be looking for a spot. But it looks like right now Finian going to be able to defend and keep the number 97 at bay. Dacuna's going to lose about 7 seconds in that one little mistake. Looks like no major damage, so Finian will keep on going, but trouble's starting to arise for drivers more and more. Dacuna gave me another example. We saw how Cedric Holmboom got involved there with Craig Forsyth and is already getting close again to maybe making a pass. In the last few laps, we've seen Holmboom use it only once in terms of push to pass, so has 9 uses remaining and got right back up to Craig here. The battle's not done by any means, and it looks like quick to recover in that number 10.
Yeah, he's thrashing those tires. He really is thrashing those tires to keep up with them. So Craig just really buying his time right now. But IndyCars, like I said, never raced here in real life. The closest was an Indy Lights race here way back when. I could look up some results for folks. But this used to be owned by a family well known in the IndyCar community. The Winnington family, and if you're familiar with the Winnington brothers, Don, Bill, and Dale, they're the only 3-brother combination ever to qualify for the Indy 500. Now, we've had multiple Andrettis. We've had Jeff, John, Michael, and Mario, but not all were brothers there. John was a cousin, so only Jeff and Michael were brothers, so we've never had 3 in the Indy 500 at the same time. Even the Unsers. I don't think we had all 3 Unsers at the same time. I believe the oldest Unser died a year before Al actually got there. But they weren't the best guys. I think Dale only made the 500 once, and he crashed out in that early Coogan incident coming to the green flag in the 82 500. But Bill and Don always had a way of showing up to the Indianapolis 500 and the IndyCar series, or back then the kart series, with the latest and greatest equipment. And they're always like, how did these guys possibly afford these things? Well, back in the early 1980s, late 70s, a bit of a scandal in the IMSA ranks. In fact, IMSA, they jokingly said IMSA stood for the International Marijuana Smuggling Association, because the Whittington brothers, along with Randy Lazier, which I believe that might be a video on Netflix. I think it is, that you can watch about Randy Lazier.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And John Paul Sr. and John Paul Jr. were all tied up in federal charges of marijuana smuggling. So legend has it, and when we get a good shot here of the back straightaway, that people say the back straightaway is long enough and straight enough for a single engine aircraft to land there, because the legend says that back in the day, that the Whittingtons would make the racetrack available for smugglers to land their planes on the backstretch, to offload their smuggling load, and then to fly back to Central or South America or wherever they were smuggling said things from. Unfortunately, we never saw this enacted during Narcos. That would have been fun. But if you want to learn more about that era, definitely check out that Netflix documentary, and that's the Winnington brothers, and that's how they kind of always was able to fund themselves with the latest and greatest equipment and no sponsorship on the side whatsoever. And that's kind of the funny thing about them. But they really, and on top of that, they really earned their reputation in sports car racing and in aviation. But they earned the reputation of smuggling, though. That's been kind of proven in the federal courts, and that's kind of how they got their money. And then they got the racetrack taken away from them, and it was held in receivership for someone else to buy. But that is the legend that airplanes landed on the backstretch to unload their smuggling marijuana.
And tell you this much, we were going down that back
straightaway. I bet you didn't know that.
I mean, if we look at it again, and I know the drivers are coming right back up on it, we'll see how wide that back straightaway really is. The longest and quickest section of the entire track. Looks like Bruno Miranda's already made his way there. He's going at about 180 right now as we ride on board with Patrick Zovazzi running right behind Julian Altana. This battle has been brewing for a while here as Zovazzi gets up to about 183 before hitting the braking zone and going for that switchback and moves with flicks of the wrist to stay right there within, of course, closing distance of Julian Altana. About a half a second is still the gap between these two who are fighting for the third. Now, we're coming up this time through to lap number 17 when Bruno Miranda gets back to the start-finish line, and that means our pit window is going to be open for the first time all race long. We're coming up on our pit cycle, so we are expecting 2 stops, and the first one could be very soon for a majority of these drivers. Dan Ench, Gary Lovern, they're 1 lap down. Gary's gone down to pit road once, a 12-lap stint for him, and whereas Dan Ench is just 1 lap down, it looks to be on pace there. Lap machines, few and far between. We might see one, though, and Jonathan Diggs coming right up there. Here's the number 4 for Kingsman Racing, and it looks like John having a little more trouble here as Bruno Miranda is coming very close before this pit cycle comes into fruition. It might be another driver put 1 lap down, but we'll see. I think for Bruno right now, what's on the mind for him is the compound swap. Mandatory today, and those 2 tire compounds, you have to switch them. If you started on the primaries, eventually you have to go on to the alternates. If you're on the alternates, eventually you got to go down to the primaries for at least 1 run.
Yep, exactly. Miranda getting around Diggs there. Diggs ducked the car out of the way on the main straight and allowed Miranda to pass on by. I was thinking if Miranda got stuck behind him with the window open now, if he was still stuck behind him coming to pit road, or at least the pit road entrance road this time by, maybe duck in and use this opportunity for your pit stop. But you mentioned it, the window is wide open. 17 to 19 is kind of when we're expecting things to happen, and then another 17 to 19 after that. So you just round up to 20. So lap 40 is when we expect everyone for the last stop, and that last 10 laps are probably when we'll see light tanks, red tires, and purple laps.
And 2 drivers just made it down to pit road for the first time, Dacuna and Alaric Vandenbos, respectively. Now Finian makes it in immediately thereafter, and you'll see on pit road, we're now getting our cycle into motion. 17 laps in exactly for those 2 drivers, and they're going to already get down to pit road as Pedro Bibel's getting held up here, and it looks like he finds himself very close to Julian Altana as they both make it in. So does Bruno Miranda. Leaders are going through.
Leaders are all in, yep. And then Savazzi in. Forsyth in, Holbloom going to come in. So I think everybody is going to take the early opportunity to hit pit road. I don't think anyone's going to go long, and that might not be a bad idea. I think the undercut's going to be powerful here. Fresh tires. Yeah, Strauss going in. Strauss driving for a new team this week.
And he will drop in, as you mentioned, new team right now for Matthias Strauss. He's going to be working with Ryder Engineering Esports. We mentioned previously they came on to work with us for our Phoenix doubleheader. They were looking for drivers. It looks like they've got one. And Matthias Strauss, he's ran solidly so far, and he makes his move in. There's Sebastian Kinder. There's John Christensen. And it looks like for the majority of the field, already 1 pit stop. We're only waiting now on Jonathan Diggs and Dan Ench, and they're both coming up on the pit road entry here, so I think everyone comes in this 1 lap.
Everyone reset. We'll give you an idea what people got for tires and everything. Got maybe a lap or so. Got to bring these tires, every single tire, up to temperature. It's always a little hairy when you're apply full throttle to a set of car with a set of new tires on it. They used to have warmers back at Indycar back in the day. In fact, surprise, surprise, Team Penske was the one that kind of innovated it and brought it in. Those are banned in IndyCar racing, so no tire warmers are allowed in IndyCar racing, unlike what you see at Formula One.
Well, it looks like right now, Bruno Miranda already back up to speed. That time through was a 1:33.346, which accounts, of course, for 31 seconds in the box overall for the number 78. 31 seconds in the pit lane, rather. 9.1 seconds in the box in particular. The fastest driver through pit road would have been Pedro Weibel. He was fastest through the box, but not through pit lane. These tenths of a second, they do matter, and I think one driver who makes some gains on it right now is Julian Altana, getting right back up to Weibel. Patrick Zovazzi with only 31.1 in pit lane, the tied for quickest of any one driver. So Zovazzi, that's exactly what this crew needed to stay with the battle for second, as Altana and Weibel are going to chase each other down the long straight here and keep each other close. As you can see, Julian very, very near that number 88.
And Julian switched compounds. So Julian made the necessary hay on those harder tires, and he's going to be rewarded with a very fast car now and a closer gap to his teammate Weibel on those red tires. So that strategy is kind of paying off. Now, he desperately needs to get around him. He cannot stay back there forever. He's got to get around him because Julian... he could go back to another set of red, or he could finish up with another set of climbs if he wants to. I got to think that if everyone's next stop is around 40-ish and it's only about 10 laps or so go to the end, I would imagine everyone made their tire switch on their first pit stop. And either if they went from black to red, they're probably going to continue with red. If they went from red to black, they're going to finish with red. That's probably what's going to happen here.
And right now we're watching as Julian on the push to pass. You'll see how the digital dashboard is lit up green.
Yep.
Coming through to the inside. It looks like a clear pass. Wow.
Good pass. That is racing with your teammate. Rule 1 is don't wreck your teammate. Rule 2 is always refer back to Rule 1. That's how important that rule is. And two teammates racing together right there. I'm sure they're in a voice channel to like plan that one. And just a little crack in the throttle by Pedro allows Julian on by. So Julian now can set an attack for Bruno if he can run Bruno down. He's got 4.5 seconds to do it. Now Bruno, he decided to go with the prime tire. So in the theory, right now, he should be a little bit slower than Julian. In fact, last time by, he actually was faster. But I think Julian was racing Pedro that time by. Let's see, Miranda 105.9. Actually, Julian, was faster by about a half a second, 105.4. Purple lap right now is Weibel with the 105.2. Not sure when he set that. I think it was sometime during the first stint. But 105.2 is the purple lap. We might see that fall in the third stint when everyone's on light tanks and red tires. That's probably when the car is most maximized to increase that time.
Altana pulling away just slightly over Pedro Weibel, but one driver who's gaining big is Patrick Zovazzi. 105.5 that time by was the fastest of any driver on the circuit, and looks like he's still the quickest here with that red alternate compound. So Zovazzi making big time up right now, and even though 6 seconds out from the leader, looks to be several tenths of a second quicker than anyone ahead. Keep an eye out for Zovazzi making a move perhaps on the podium very soon.
Yeah, last 5 laps, he's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Last 5 lap average, 106 lap for Miranda. Julian to 105.8, which is just a little bit faster than Patrick's last 5 laps average, 105.825. Julian's a 105.804. They're about on the same pace. That's just the 5 lap average. 10 lap average, he is faster. They're almost dead heat, Julian and Salazzi. 106 flat for the last 10 laps.
And Weibel going to have a bit of a tire lock up there. Keeps it straight and keeps it all together in the middle of 2 very quick drivers right now. So Weibel sort of feeling that pressure as these guys are continuing to race each other closer than any other group in the field. Pedro Weibel is going to get very loose once again and goes in the lawn. He's going to try to get it out of the grass quickly, mows it up just a bit, and loses a spot very quickly.
So easy to do. That is so easy to do there, and what he's done is he's screwed up his timing. He's at the top of the hill, and he's kind of searching back for the racetrack and get his timing back. So a little mental mistake there, leading to another mental mistake, and that cost him a solid, I think Savazzi already had the position. If not, Savazzi got the position. But and on top of that, a ton of track position that he just lost. But still, top 4. He's in P4. Craig Forsyth now reeling him in. Craig back about 2 seconds from that battle right there.
So Forsyth might have a chance to perhaps pull it together, because by Bell, not only the rhythm there, but you might have to think about it as in destroying the equipment at the same time. Not going to be easy to get back on the primary compound after shredding the tire going right through the grass like that. And we saw he was smoking up the tire previously. Looked like a one-time thing, and then it happened again, and it really got extreme there. So by Bell's going to be particularly slower through these next 10, 15-ish laps as he recovers in this stint. Forsyth is still about 6 seconds away. Keep that in mind, though.
Yeah.
However, Bell lost 4 seconds on that last lap. He's pulling it together right now. I think he's going to be still a few seconds slower than anything he was doing previously.
Yeah, I understated, or actually overstated the gap from Forsyth to Bell, but I thought it was like 2 seconds, but it was more than in the 5-6 second neighborhood right now. So 24:50, we're at the halfway point, and leaders Miranda, he's pretty much led them all. I don't think there might have been a different leader during the pit stop swap, but we'll see if he can lead all of them here. So right now, he started from the pole, so he has 1 crown of the Grand Slam done. If he can win the race, lead all the laps, and get the purple lap, he'll get all crowns to the Grand Slam. And that's a pretty rare thing to do. That's a very hard thing to do. You see it happen in Formula One sometimes with the way that their races are developed, but you don't see it in other forms of racing that often. But if you can pull it off, that's a hell of a day. It's almost like a perfect quarterback rating in the NFL.
Well, right now, the fastest lap is going to go to Pedro by Bell with a 105.211, so it doesn't have that quick lap just yet, but that can always change. So I don't expect that to be the biggest, most important factor right now to how Moran taken to the track. Still has led every lap so far as we're coming up on the halfway point this time by. It's been dominant so far. Julian Altona going to be there about 5 seconds back. Zilvazzi was gaining, but I think he got shook up a bit as well as a result of Pedro by Bell wiggling out of control erratically right by him. So unfortunately, Zilvazzi's going to have to drop back, and we've slowly but surely seen a bit less out of this battle as of recent. Zilvazzi's still about a tenth of a second quicker each time by, but nothing that's really showing a huge gain as we saw previously. So as Miranda goes by the stripe, we're halfway down, and we've got halfway to go. Miranda, you're still leader with 5 seconds to the gap to second. Bruno Miranda, Julian Altona, and Patrick Zilvazzi, first, second, third. Then you look right back down to Pedro by Bell, right now putting it all together. Last time by was a 106.097, so despite the hiccup, still quick and still faster than Craig Forsyth. So doing very well and putting it all together, but you gotta understand he's driving it as hard as he can right now, perhaps trying to put something together for the later stage of this race. Of all the drivers in the field right now, he's one of only 2 that has not used push to pass once. So if anything were to happen up ahead, maybe there's an opportunity for him to return to the battle with Zilvazzi and Altona, given the fact he's got more push passes than anyone on the lead lap, and he's still right there with Gary Lovern, 10 push passes for each of them. As it stands, it's still going to be very close between the drivers who are battling in the mid-pack, though. We're starting to see a battle come together between Matthias Strauss and Sebastian Kinder. In addition, you're also seeing Alrik Vandenbos in the mix. So now we're starting to see the mid-pack get closer and closer again as you see him come through the final section of the circuit down to lap number 27 for these drivers who are about 30 seconds away from your leader.
And we're just kind of settling in now. The good of the tires are kind of worn off. The guys on the alternate are kind of hanging on now. They're about 9 laps into the stint, 10 laps into the stint. Guys on the prime tires, everything's coming in for them. They're getting more and more happy.
And putting it together nicely here in this longer stint. Second stint, of course, for these drivers, a lot of them, they made the change on compound, as you mentioned, from primaries to alternate and vice versa. So a lot of these drivers getting used to something a bit different from their previous strategy calls, and for the most part, we haven't seen many major issues come from it. And we're looking right now, Matthias Strauss gaining big time on Alaric Vandenbosch. We'll look on board right now with the number 8 if we can, but he's having some internet troubles too, so we'll take a look from the back bumper of the number 72. Right now in 7th, but that time by lost. We can't even figure out how much in particular, but it looks to be about a loss of 1/10 of a second each and every time by, if not more. The gap between these two drivers is now 2/10 of a second, and as we mentioned, it's about 2/10 every lap right now being lost for Alaric. As you can see, Matthias Strauss slowly but surely creeping up into the frame and definitely pushing hard through this flowing portion of the circuit. The first sector he seems to be very quick in and comes to his own in the last one as well.
Yeah, down the hill, down the slalom. Always fun. In fact, one of the more famous IndyCar drivers in history got his start as a professional downhill skier. That's Dick Simon. I don't know if that name rings a bell. He used to be a longtime driver and a longtime team owner. He quit owning teams right about the time of the split, and I think he sold most of his staff to Andy Evans and Scandia there in '96, and he's pretty much in retirement now. Funny thing is depending on who you want to believe and what rumor says, he has been accused of being the legendary D.B. Cooper for stealing that money in that 1972-ish hijacking in the Northwest. Actually, he was being investigated by the FBI as being a possible D.B. Cooper character. So that's pretty funny.
Now that I never knew of. I mean, how did they put that connection together? Is there any reasoning that they got through to make that happen?
He had experience jumping out of airplanes. He had experience camping as a survivalist, I guess, camping out in the wilderness. I guess he's from that area. And things added up, and he checked certain boxes for the FBI. That was enough for them to actually have a conversation with him. But there is a video somewhere out there on YouTube where he actually talks about the FBI coming and talking to him about being a possible alias for D.B. Cooper.
Well, how about that? Right now, the battles are getting a bit closer again. Pedro Bibel, who is several seconds out from Patrick Zovazzi, is now only half a second away. So Bibel's been clearly the quickest driver in the mix, even still, and is still putting down 105 times as opposed to everyone else ahead of him being in the 106s. Right now on the push to pass, it's going to be Bibel coming through quick. Swiftly goes up high, going to take it to the top side here, and now it's time for the double switchback. Taking it in. Clearly ahead by the braking zone, and Pedro Bibel is up to 3rd. We didn't expect that so quickly. Already making moves, and actually that's his first push to pass use all race long.
Yeah, and I think Patrick kind of let off to kind of let him go. I think those red tires have had it, really. We're in that point, we're 13 laps into a stint. I mean, we're 4 laps away from another pit stop, and we're just talking about these guys just stopping. That was almost 17 laps ago, guys. So we're now approaching that second 17-lap stint, into that second 17-lap stint. So we're going to see how these things pan out here. But we're getting really close to that. Like I said, it's going to be right around that 10 to go window where we see them dive in.
And we're getting very, very close. 13-lap stint for most of these drivers, and Zovazzi's going to slide. As you saw him drifting out of the corner there, he had trouble right now for Zovazzi and the Reds. We're looking on board to another battle involving Matthias Strauss and Alaric Vandenbosch. These two drivers are now within 0.4 of a second of each other, and that's the closest they've been all throughout this race. Coming around this time through, Matthias Strauss is getting closer and closer here, and he's on the Reds as well.
Yeah, and he's going to be on push to pass if he's not already on down this straight right here. Yeah, he is. He's on push to pass. Saw the chance, going to get some momentum. Here's his opportunity in the draft. Closing in. He's going to send it in there. Wow, outright, nice pass. Great job.
At the last second, taking it there. What a move that was to dive in deep, and luckily no contact between the both of them. Matthias Strauss gets out of it and will take position number 7. Big move right there on debut for a new team, and showing that this Ryder Engineering number 8's got something of course, to unveil for any driver in his past. Strauss makes the move, gonna jump him up to 7th. Meanwhile, we're seeing Pedro Bibel come closer and closer to the 2nd spot, and this could be a fight for the runner-up position between Julian and Pedro. All of a sudden close again, but you see the tire locks are coming back into play. Maybe Bibel's outlasting his welcome here with how hard he's pushing.
That was a great pass by Strauss. So full send. You gotta also hope that the guy that you're racing with is willing to accept that full send and concede a little bit. Otherwise, at the exit of that corner, you're going to both be probably riding on top of one another. Miranda now with Christensen lap traffic in front of him. Christensen can hold him up a little bit for his teammate. Julian is his teammate. Now, in real world IndyCar, team orders are supposedly not allowed. They're supposedly not allowed in F1, and they're definitely not allowed in NASCAR. However, how this game works, and there's no way to manage that, team orders happen in private voice channels somewhere. And there have been times where I've been on a race course with my teammates, and they're like, drive the accelerator a little bit for the guy, slow down the guy behind you so we could catch up. Stuff like that happens.
And Bibel quickly makes it past his teammate and Julian Altana. It's now going to be Pedro up to 2nd, and it looks like the primary is doing well for Bibel up to 2nd place here, and just before the pit cycle.
Yeah, this is the trade-over point where the prime tires come into most effectiveness over the alternate tires, the red sidewall tires. Those are pretty well spent for these guys, so they're like, okay, I'm ready to make my pit stop, but you can't pit too early. You got to make sure that you get into that window. Otherwise, you don't want to have to run it in fuel map 5 or fuel map 8 for a couple of laps just to save enough fuel to finish this race. You want to get to that final window so you have enough. Maybe add a little bit more so you can use your push to passes. Because pushing to pass, that does use more fuel. A lot of people don't realize that, but it does.
And speaking of pit cycle, we got now Vandenbosch down and in. In addition, it's going to be calling through Pedro Bibel, Julian Altana. They're going to be putting the signals out. Finian D'Acuna makes it in at the same time. Pit road going to be busy once again. Bruno Miranda's call is to stay out. And it looks like right now for Bibel, he'll be launching in. So we got a bit of a divided pit strategy.
Yeah, and this is, I'm sure, a team call. When you got 2 team cars coming in, that's what they're talking. They're going to try to do the overcut here, where they're gonna get new tires and then push like heck on this next lap to close the gap, and then hope that Miranda has a slow spot, and then they'll have the overcut here. So we'll see. Hitting their slow pit road speed, slow, hitting pit road. Bibel down. He's got the prime alternate tires on. Julian again with the alternate tires. So there's going to be push for these guys. And if you notice, Bruno Miranda, probably don't notice already, but I can see right now in my overlay, he has on push to pass. So he's like, okay, I know what they're trying to do. I'm going to push this car as humanly possible on this last lap. So I build up as much of a gap. So when I do make my stop, which he's doing right here, he should pop out in front of Julian and Pedro. We'll see. Pedro and Julian are trying
31 seconds inside the lane, so I think there's a chance here. Yeah.
Pedro wide on corner 7, entrance at the exit. That's going to cost him some time. Time's valuable right now.
But I think this race is going to be much closer than what we've seen all throughout so far. Bibel is quick, and he went in early here with his team. So Bruno Miranda's got the opportunity to maybe flip the script, but we'll see. Coming around this time through, Cedric Holborn's going to be coming through, but it looks like far away enough where Miranda is in clear range of only the lappers. It's going to be a much easier opportunity, and Bruno takes it once again, top of the board, and the sun's light is almost entirely gone. Here's a quick track shot of the entire circuit right here, and I think we've hit the twilight hours here in Road Atlanta, so we're going to be very close here in terms of sunlight. I don't think we're going to go after dark, but we're going to be right there on the bleeding edge, as right now the Roar Esports number 78 leads by 10 seconds over Julian Altana.
Well, if you ask me, nighttime is the right time for IndyCar racing. But this is probably not the right course to have the nighttime racing at right now.
And it looks like one driver is having some trouble as we approach tonight is Pedro Bibel, who's dropped back into 4th here. That time by lost a lot.
Something happened to
matter of fact, it was a
Vandenbosch.
143 lap, so he lost
Something
about
happened
9
to Vandenbosch.
seconds.
Something happened to Strauss. Something happened to Vandenbosch and Strauss. They're both in pit road. They're missing front wing elements.
We're going to take a look back and find out, because these two drivers, well, you mentioned Strauss was battling, and you can see they are caught up in the trees. So we're going to take it back 20 more seconds and find out what really caused this incident. Matthias Strauss, Dan Ench, and Jonathan Diggs are all going to be on pit road, and Strauss looks like he went around alone, and the front wing destroyed there. He goes back on the track and gets brutally taken right up and over. Wow.
Right.
Vandenbosch involved,
So,
Jonathan Diggs too.
That might. So who was the originator of that incident?
So it looked like it was Strauss who ran around first, and it was Jonathan Diggs coming in, as well as when it came to that, where you can see he comes in first and flying right over. It was Vandenbosch who went right over the both of them. So it's a very, very nasty hit there. We're going to take one more replay and watch from Vandenbosch's perspective, because the 72 launched up and on top of Jonathan Diggs and flew right over the number 8 of Matthias Strauss. So looks like, yeah, Strauss comes right back on the track, and Vandenbosch goes up in the air for about 100 feet and slides to a stop. And it's a track blocker for sure. Luckily, all 3 drivers come down to pit road, but that's not the way they want to end their race there. That's a heartbreaker for the 3 of them.
Nothing he could have done about that. At first, I thought it might have been an unsafe rejoin, but I watched the replay from my point of view, and he just kind of skid back out on the track. The car that was next in line was on the brakes, and then the car behind him, which would have been Vandenbosch, didn't see the brakes in time, and then he catapulted himself over the top. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I was thinking that was better than an unsafe rejoin, but no, that was just he rolled back into the center of traffic, and you just got to keep your eye out on that. And it's tough. These cars are moving. General rule of thumb is a racetrack a second, or excuse me, a football field a second. So that and many times it's not a lot of times to react, but. Back out in action, Miranda, the Brazilian Storm continues the lead, and Julian's trying to run him down. But I don't think he's going to have time. Julian just went purple, 105 flat.
Wow, what a lap that was. Miranda also beat his best with a 105.142, but I think that's the dying gasp from Altana in terms of trying to catch up, because that's the fastest lap we've seen in this race, as you mentioned, and that would really take away the Grand Slam opportunity for Bruno Miranda. Maybe Miranda's got a little more under. Of course, on a younger set of tire, it's possible, but Altana's going to set a statement lap regardless, 105.047, and that's going to be a clear and away new race lap record for the driver, the number 11, Altana, going to set another here in Road Atlanta.
So I almost set, in an official race, I almost set the Grand Slam on an oval. That's really hard to do. I got the pole, won the race, led all the laps, but I didn't have the purple lap. And the only reason I never had the purple lap, it was a drafting racetrack, and I was out in front the entire time and never had anyone to draft with. But I'm sure if I had someone to draft with, I would have had that purple lap. But I had 3/4 of the Grand Slam on an oval, and that's hard to do as well, because certainly most times there's an overlap in pit strategy on an oval. And the ovals are short enough that you're going to have a new leader. Not always the case in road courses. Sometimes in road courses, the overlap doesn't happen because of the distance. And right now, Miranda is definitely sending out a statement right now that this championship could be his, as we still got a long way to go. And next week we go to an oval, which is Milwaukee. And that's going to be interesting because we've done a couple weeks on the road courses, and Milwaukee is a tough oval. But I know one person that races really well at Milwaukee, and that's the guy currently sitting in second, Julian. I've seen him whip the field a number of times at Milwaukee. So I think Julian just want to hang tough here. finish second, get his points, and go on to next week to an oval that I know he excels at.
And as it stands, Julian Alton are going to be third in the championship standings, so big opportunity here running ahead of Craig Forsyth. Miranda looking to take the points lead when all is said and done tonight. You look at the point standings one more time on the screen here on FTN. It's going to be a very close championship battle from this point onward, and I think the season's only going to get more intense as it progresses here with Forsyth. He's still running solid, but he's not up there fighting directly with Bruno Miranda. Jonathan Diggs is going to go around again. As Jonathan gets back on the track, he's going to be inside the gravel here. Gets going once more. Luckily, nobody else involved, but another incident here as we're coming through the final few laps. 10 to go, and the sun is almost completely set. We are really close here when it comes to time in the session overall. I mean, when the sunlight goes, if it were to hypothetically, really there's nothing much more you can do with this race. And right now, Bruno Miranda's got control. He's got good visibility right now inside the cockpit, and he's certainly very happy to have 9 seconds behind and a clean track in front.
Yeah, he's got next closest car is Diggs, which is 15 seconds down the road from him. So right now, if the way things go, he should not encounter. Ooh, cut over that corner. He took more of the curve than I expected there. Anyways, which that can damage your under tray, by the way, if you do that. And then that will impact car performance. But Miranda should be able to finish this race without encountering lap traffic, I don't think. Diggs is now 13 seconds ahead of him. But we'll see. 9 to go. Altana, Savazzi, Bybel, Forsyth. Forsyth cracked into the top 5. He's pretty safely into the top 5. Holbroom is behind him by about 20 seconds. So a top 5 for, I think Craig would take a top 5 on a road course. I'm sure of it.
And certainly a good position to come through with, regardless of course, field size right now. 17 registered. We got 12 still on the circuit here, and a bit of more of a night of attrition than what we saw in Zandvoort, where overall it's one of these tracks which has a lot more of a varying profile that gives way to some troubles and some struggles for drivers, but most have done a good job of avoiding just that. Sebastian Kinder right now going to be coming up on Cedric Holmboom. This is the battle for the 6th position, and right now Cedric has it. Sebastian Kinder definitely wants it. They're also coming up on a lap machine right now. That is Dan Ench, who might play as a bit of a stopgap here in the middle of this fight. Kinder right now, as we watch on board, is not going to be on the push to pass. Thinks he's a little bit too far out to make it work. The green light has not come on. He's going to get close, but not close enough as they come through the braking zone again. Left-hander, immediately going to be a right-hander once more. Kinder's close, but still not there just yet in terms of making a real big charge for position. 8 to go this time by, and they're both going to make it by the stripe again, separate by only half a second.
Yeah, the push to pass situation, as Miranda just used, he had 5, now he's down to 4, just used 1. I think he's at the position where you can smoke him if you got him type thing, because you can't take him with you. Use him up anyways if he has enough fuel in the tank. Julian is Winchester. That means he is out. He has no more pushes of the button. Savazzi has 4. Bybel has 6. Forsyth on the button now, down to 4. Holbloom has 9 still. He could fire some off here. Kinder has 7. In fact, maybe he wants to in that battle with Kinder. You can push the pass and push to defend. It doesn't matter which role you're in. Fitty in the Big Dakuna is up there at 6 pushes the button left. Christensen 3 in the top 10. Gary Lovern sneaking in the top 10 again here. He is down to 7 with 7 laps to go.
And Sebastian Kinder was just on the push to pass, had to back out, was not enough room to make it work, and that's really going to stunt him as he comes out of the final corner this time by. Very close to making a move. He was on the green. He still has a few more opportunities. 6, as a matter of fact.
On it. Now Holbloom's on it now, so if Holbloom has any overlays when he can tell if someone's on push to pass or possibly he has a spotter, he knows that Kinder was just on it, so he pushed the button to put a little extra distance there. We'll see what it shapes up here as they go through the slalom portion down to 5. Now down into the guitar neck or whatever you want to call it, the outer portion of the course, what have you. I like these set of turns here. You can kind of nice sweeping. Sometimes you can take it really without keeping your steering wheel straight. Just kind of a constant turn. Now we're on the straightaway, the landing strip, so to speak. And he's got a good run. He's there. A little bit of a twitch for Holbloom there. He can't make another move. That was his move. Gets the pass. Nice and clean. We're into 10A, 10B. So move Seb Kinder up to 6. But this battle's not over yet. Here comes Holbloom's going to look underneath, coming into 12. Holbloom on the button. And he's going to get the position once more going into 1. Doesn't he overdrive 1? You're going into 1 a lot faster than you normally are right now. So swap the positions back.
The fight is still on. I mean, these two drivers going back and forth through the final sector of the circuit. And you saw it there. Sebastian Kinder thinking he had a shot to keep it, only to get pushed back and forth with that switchback maneuver. And that's going to keep Cedric in line in the 6th spot. So Kinder's going to have another opportunity here. Watching the push-to-pass game. Ooh. 5 push-to-passes to go here for Kinder.
They're so much deeper than Holbloom Kinder
Absolutely
does.
There, yeah. 5 push-to-passes for Kinder, 7 for Cedric. So for Kinder, it's going to be very risky to be on that offense here, but I think he has to be a bit more aggressive as they're going to come down at 6th gear. He's going in, and he almost got the grass there.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did cut the grass there. So what we're seeing at the top of the hill in turn 7, is that Holbloom's easy in, easy out. And I think we're watching Kinder. Seb's going hard in and overdriving the entrance maybe a little bit and not getting a good exit. And that's where Holbloom is keeping the position. If he maintained that distance that he did as he was entering 7 down the straight, he would have been able to pull that pass off. But now there seems to be a bit of the back end goes wide there on 5 for Holbloom, and he gets a little squirrely. That allows Kinder to catch back up. See how he gets in there? Gets in there now. He's really close, but look at that exit out. So nice and easy in, nice and easy out. Holbloom's managing to keep this position, but I think Kinder's got a run on him, and they're both on the button now.
Kinder going to go right up to the inside yet again. Going to try to beat him out in the braking zone, side by side. Nobody's going to give, but it looks like it's still going to be an advantage. Cedric once more. A nice display of defensive driving so far. We thought it was done and done the first time Kinder got around through the push to pass, but ever since then, looks like Cedric's had the advantage in this battle with 4 laps to go. Night lighting is officially on in the session. You might see the shadows being cast occasionally from those portable lights, as you mentioned. While the sun is not fully down, we're seeing a difference in the night lighting conditions, and it does indicate we've passed the sunset, that's for sure. So now, looks like nighttime's the right time for these two drivers to finish their battle off. 0.3 of a second still separates, and they're as close as they can get.
Watch him get in. Really good entry here in the 7. And not a good exit this time for Holbloom, although, well, I take that back. Holbloom does kind of pull away, but they're both there. Does Seb go back to the button? Seb has 4 pushes left. Holbloom has 5. He's getting there the old-fashioned way, drafting. Now, okay, so Cedric goes to a defensive position to the inside. He made his one move. They're going to dive into 10A, 10B. And, well, Cedric, wow, very impressive. These guys, you know what? I'm going to nod my cap to Seb here, too, because it's hard in open-wheel cars to drive wheel-to-wheel with somebody and not touch something. That's kind of what I often think when people say, well, they like NASCAR over Indycar. It's like, well, NASCAR guys can go bump and rub at each other, and that's fine. Indycar drivers, you don't want to do that. I submit to the jury that it takes more skill it takes more skill to race someone very closely and not rub them than to race someone closely and rub them. That's just my take to the jury. Take that for what you will. These guys are doing a good. Oh, and he cooks that right front, going into the corner. And now we're going to have a push the button down the track. There he is. He's on the now.
Already on the green. There we go. Yep. All the way down the inside, nearly touching the grass, and that he does. Side by side, I think this is the big opportunity here. Kinder's got the edge. Cedric's going to remain back. Takes the defensive position once again, though.
No, and he cuts across, but he gets it. And I submit to the jury, that's how you do close racing, IndyCar racing. And if you don't find that entertaining, then you're just really not a good race fan.
And now it's going to be Kinder once again on the green. He's only got himself now a total of 2 opportunities to use it again. 2 laps to go for these 2 drivers, whereas Bruno Miranda is out in his own world. We'll check on him right now as he takes the white flag this time by. 1 lap to go for Bruno Miranda. He's got himself now 1 more circuit, and he's going to lock it up. He's led every lap in this race. He started from the pole position. He's set to win if all goes well, but it ain't over till it's over here. The only thing he's missing is that fastest lap, still held by Julian Altana, 12 seconds behind. Keep a watch here on Moran as he comes through one final time. We're going to watch him and the battle here between Holbom and Kinder. Looks like Seb's got it now after lap of defensive masterclass. They're still close to each other. One more time.
Now, Seb might want to make a defensive move to the inside a little bit, but Cedric's not able to get there. So again, the blocking rule. Oh, there's a so close rejoin with Lovern there at the exit of turn 10B. I think Seb might have clipped him. I don't know that for a fact. White flag.
And we'll check back on that lap car incident one more time as the number 78 of Bruno Miranda comes through. Roar Esports finds themselves in victory lane for the second time this season. Miranda will win from Road Atlanta, leading every lap from the pole position. Bruno's going to park the car quickly, and the battle persists for 6th here, still the closest on the track. Cedric is still going here. Sebastian Kinder, he's got not much left in him. He's going to have one more lap to pull it together and try to keep this spot. They're coming around this time by. Cedric still has nothing left. They're both on the green.
Last push of the button. Cedric decided to send it down the inside. Okay, so now you see Seb going to the little middle of the racetrack defensively. Remember the rule. You're allowed one move, and then you can't react to the driver behind you. After that, you're blocking. Gets through the chicane. Clean. Gets out through the exit of the chicane. Down the hill, through 11, into 12, and Seb Kinder. Well, I'd tell you what, Seb, I'd pat myself on the back. That was a good, hard race. Same for Cedric. Good, hard race for those two. Those are something that you can go back and chill with in the VOR Discord server and chat about how clean you raced each other, because that was a pretty good near master class from you guys.
A great battle for the both of them till the very end, and the best part of it, they all keep it clean until the checkered flag. Seb Kinder is going to come out with 6th. Cedric Holmbaum going to be sent back to 7th, but by no means a result to be upset about given that performance between the two. How about that final run for these two drivers, and how about the dominance from our winning man, Bruno Miranda? Your race results going to flash on the screen. It's Miranda over Julian Altana in 2nd. Then it's going to be 3rd, Patrick Zovazzi. 4th spot is going to be Pedro Babel. 5th is Craig Forsyth. 6th is Sebastian Kinder. And it'll be Cedric Holmbaum in 7th with Finian DeCuna. Then in 8th. 9th is John Christensen. And to round out the top 10, Gary Lovern 2 laps down.
Dan Inge comes home 11th, Diggs 12th, Strauss 14th, Strauss 13th, Van den Bosch 14th, Hunter Smith 15th. I think we got one more page here. Yeah, Hugo Gallus 16th, and Jordan Hell 17th. And that is your 17-car field from Road Atlanta.
With the Road Atlanta Grand Prix concluded after 50 great laps of racing, we've got to talk to our top 3 here. The podium coming up next on FTN. Bruno Miranda, he's your race winner. Julian Altana 2nd, and Patrick Zovazzi. Quiet race for the 2nd and 3rd drivers, and honestly pretty quiet from our winning driver too. Overall, it's Miranda's day, and it looks like right now Patrick Zovazzi standing by. Gary, you'll be talking with our 3rd place finisher as Zovazzi joins the broadcast booth.
Patrick, congratulations. You were some great battles there on the racetrack all race long. Kind of that last stint, you're kind of just by yourself, but bring it home for a podium finish. Tell us about your race and how about your day?
Thank you so much. Yeah, so quali was okay, I guess, because at the end of the quali, I wasn't really able to, even though I let some time. Race was really good. Like I started on blacks with Julian, and then we were able to catch Cedric, and I was really lucky with the overtake on him. Like I had the run on him, and such. And then second stint was I saw Pedro lost it, went wide at turn 1, but he like made it back after like 5 laps because of the tire advantage. But then I saw that he had an incident on his out lap, and I thought that okay, this is my chance. And I was so worried that he's gonna make it back, even though that we were on the same compound. But I did it finally. I had some chances already this season to make it to the podium, and I'm finally here. Finally.
Congratulations. Yeah, finally, you definitely earned it, my friend. Any shout outs, anybody you'd like to say hi to while we have you here?
Yeah. Thank you, Seb. Seb had actually a really good race after getting involved in some lap 1 stuff. So yeah, I mean, P6 for him is actually really good. Like, he didn't really expect it to be finishing that position. So yeah, I mean, he had a really good race as well.
He did. We watched him. Yeah, he was in a great battle there with Cedric there at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Milwaukee.
I hope so. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Patrick Silvassi on the move after a third place finish. Tell you this much, we're going to move on to our second place driver right now, and that will be Julian Altana in the number 11. Quiet night, of course, for our top 3 guys who really pulled it together with that consistency. I think that's the same going for Julian as we come through. Gary standing by as our second place finisher. Altana returns to the podium.
Hey, Julian. Hey, not a bad double race performance here today for you. I get a podium there at Nashville, get another podium here. Not quite enough pace for Bruno, who just kind of ran away with it, but you'll be happy to know that you broke up his Grand Slam attempt. You got the purple lap, whereas he led every lap, got the win, and got the pole. But you broke it up. Tell us about your race, and tell us about your strategy there to at least salvage a P2 out of this.
Yeah, I was saying to my teammates, I should probably implement a bonus point for fastest lap at this point because I got a few of those this season. But I wanted to start a race on the blacks, which I thought was a good strategy, and it was until I got held up by Cedric because he got around me at the start. So that was that. I think I could have challenged Bruno for the win. It would have been close. I'm not sure if I could actually beat him, but it would have been very close between us at the end there for sure. But yeah, it was nice to drive around this track late in the day. It was very fast and flowy. Had a lot of grip, so that made it a lot of fun to drive. Was a bit worried about hitting Pedro when he spun right in front of me. I don't know if you guys caught that. I hope you guys did, because I was scared when that happened. I tried to brake as best as I could, but I still tapped him. I tried to go to the left, and then he went to the left also. So it was a bit of a shame for him. I think it could have been a 2-3 for us. But yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes. Just really happy about the race overall for the team. We got a top 10 with all cars except Dan. He finished 11th, so he got close. It was a good day for us.
Yeah, he knows the drill. He tells about this race and he gets his shout outs out of the way. It's like, you've been here before, but congratulations on the P2. We'll see you next week at Milwaukee, which I know is one of your favorite tracks. And we'll see if we can't get you another step on the podium for next week.
Oh yeah, Milwaukee is going to be an evening race too, by the way. It's going to be a 2004-esque champ car. Okay. So hopefully without the early attrition, but yeah. Yeah, it's almost like I've done IndyCar leagues on iRacing for 3 years.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what I'm
doing. Yeah. All right, congratulations. We'll catch you next week, buddy.
Yeah, see you next week, Gary and Dave.
Oh, he got you too.
There we go. Julian going to come home second tonight, and once again back in the podium spot. Both Altana and Miranda making big gains in the championship standing. An important race for the both of them, and especially for Bruno Miranda, who we're now going to be with, of course, coming in the broadcast booth. Pole position, you get it done, leading every lap of this race from start to finish. You had full control out there and just about the quickest driver from the beginning to end. Bruno Miranda, you win here in Road Atlanta. What's it like, of course, dominance to bring yourself back to victory lane?
Thank you, David. Thank you, Gary. Thank you very much. I try to speak English.
Do your best. Do your best.
So, this track is very difficult, very dangerous. And beginning the race, I use the map 3 to save the fuel, and the second stint too. And when the last stint, I stay with like a few more fast, and use the red compounds. Use it. We try to push. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. Julian, have a nice podium, and I don't know with the third place. I think the Patrick is third place, and thank you so much. Congrats, everybody.
And we saw the difference in the tire compound. You mentioned the strategy all race long. You had to run on the alternates and the primaries. Was there anything important in particular you think that really helped you there? Anything that really got you that advantage as the race went on?
Yeah, I keep pushing the first stint, but I saved the fuel and keep pushing more I can. So I think is my stint is good. The first and second, I think the third is not okay. I think more better third stint, but I saved the race because this track is very fast and very dangerous to commit some mistakes.
You know, despite the dangers, you held this one full control from start to finish, pushing through and getting the checkered flag once again. Now, last time we went to the ovals, it was our race in Phoenix, the doubleheader. We saw some success out of you there. Next up, it's going to be Milwaukee when we go back to the racing, taking those left turns. You think there's a chance to maybe come through in victory lane?
So I hope to stay there. I love the Milwaukee Mile. My favorite oval track. So I take it. I hope to stay in the podium because the guys here is very fast, very better guys, very better guys. So I think it's to me hard to stay in the podium, but I try to stay on top 5 on the podium.
And hoping to see another top 5 run next week. Bruno Miranda, you get it done tonight and come home into victory lane in Road Atlanta. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. Sorry for my bad English. Thank you very much.
No, it's totally fine. Great to have you here either way. Thanks for the time. 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bruno Miranda on the way. That is our podium ceremony tonight. Miranda, Altana, Patrick Zovazzi, your top 3. And just like that, a night of racing at Road Atlanta has come to an end. We thank you all for watching live on FTN here, the Road Atlanta Grand Prix, and we'll be back next week as we return for the Milwaukee Mile in the VOR IR-18 series. The championship battle is still getting heated up, and tonight you watch the racing from the virtual Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'd like to thank the Velocity Online Racing League once again for letting us participate in the broadcasting action all throughout this Saturday, and of course, here on iRacing, the one-stop shop for all your online sim racing needs. It's the best simulator on the market, so check them out at iRacing.com as we'll return to the broadcasting action Monday night. It's going to be the Integrity Ignite Series, then the Octane Series Tuesday, and we'll be back Thursday night with the return of the IORA Cup Series. Another exciting series back in action, so keep an eye out for FTN's coverage all throughout the week and the rest of the month. I've been David Kreutz, commentating and producing alongside Gary Godso all throughout tonight's racing, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for your time, and we hope to see you whenever we're live again on FTN. This has been coverage of the Road Atlanta Grand Prix in the Velocity Online Racing IR-18 series.